I do believe that Iraq has been an obsession of the United States now for almost 20 years. And one of the things we try to do in the book is show that Iraq is not a post-2003 problem. It's been there since Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in August of 1990. And you had George H.W. Bush reversing that invasion with a coalition under the authorization of the United Nations. Hugely successful Gulf War. He had 90% approval rating, which then evaporates as the campaign goes on because people aren't that appreciative once the whole thing's over. He did not decide to send American troops to Baghdad to topple Saddam Hussein, so Saddam remains in power. And the Clinton administration for 8 years tries to figure out what to do with that regime. There's an international sanctions regime to prevent Saddam Hussein from building weapons of mass destruction. The United States is patrolling no-fly zones in the north and south to protect populations in Iraq from the regime in Baghdad. When we spoke to Madeleine Albright, who was the UN ambassador in the first Clinton term, she said her whole time as UN ambassador was spent dealing with resolution after resolution on Iraq because the resolutions that ended the Persian Gulf War were constantly coming up for renewal, and she had to keep the coalition together. And so there was this huge amount of attention paid to Iraq. Through the period, Bill Clinton told George W. Bush that he regretted not being able to do something about Saddam Hussein. And of course, George W. Bush is going to hand off the Iraq problem to his successor. It'll be the third Iraq handoff. And, you know, it is, while Iraq's an important country and an important region, it has distorted American foreign policy. There are lots of other big problems out there. During this past 20 years, we've seen the rise of China, for example, in general, the rise of Asia, and we're really under-equipped as a nation to think about these problems. Strategically, we haven't thought through these problems. And these are the kinds of things, the rise of Asia, climate change, these are the things that are going to dominate our world in the coming decades. And we've been distracted by our entanglement in Iraq.